the moment our fellow geeks, dweebs, nerds, and other unfortunates have been fervently waiting for has finally arrived. It's time for TMI, Confessionals of the Nerd Kind. And now, your hosts, Jeff Nerf Herder Chandler and Jim Kaiju Baker. And now, let's get on with the show. Here is TMI.
Did you see that they're re-releasing Turning Red in the theaters?
Yeah, it was playing when I went to go see Argyle. It was in the next theater.
How weird is that? That's been on streaming. That's been on the Disney Plus for like a year.
I know.
We covered it well over a year ago.
It's a very odd choice on their part.
Yeah, and because all of a sudden I started seeing like reviews of it, and I'm like, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Elemental came out with kind of a thud upon its initial release, and then it suddenly got legs. So maybe that's what they have in mind.
Maybe. It's like, oh, it's doing well on streaming. Let's see if we can make some money on it.
Yeah, because they figure not everybody has Disney Plus, so there's that other demographic out there.
Who doesn't have Disney Plus at this point? Yeah, I've shared mine in exchange for others. So
in exchange for favors?
Yeah, well, in exchange for other streaming services.
Right.
Hey man, you got a Hulu over there?
I'll hook you up. I'll hook you up with Disney.
Yep. I'll trade you a Paramount Plus for a Hulu. Yo, what do you got in your jacket there? And I have to change the password so often. I can't keep heads.
So do I. But I have to remember only write in pencil because you got to erase. you got to erase.
And as much as I always tell you, never use the same password I use my same password.
Of course, you can't help it.
I can't.
This movie that we are about to review is getting so crushed out there in social media. Just like a spider that you think nothing of stepping on.
Exactly. Well, it's not, you can't just go out and say that you don't like a movie anymore. Now you got to attack it. Now you have to spin conspiracy theories around it.
It seems like all these headlines are just clickbait. Train wreck. Worst movie ever. Do we think it's true? Well, you'll just have to stick around.
I guess you'll have to find out. Well, all you have to do is ask the star, because apparently that's part of the conspiracy theories that she's out there crapping on it.
Well, I don't think she is. I don't think she is, because if you, again, it's clickbait headlines. So it says, for example, Dakota Johnson says, "This is not the movie I signed up for." And when you go actually to the article, it was from weeks ago saying the script was different and it changed. That's nothing even close to saying this movie is terrible and I am disowning it. So
she's some of her, she talks about the fact that she's never really worked on blue screen before. So when someone's going action, explosion, and she has to react to it, she's out there going, it's chaos. And
that's a perfect example, because I saw another headline saying that Dakota Johnson says, as she was working on Madam Web, "I don't really know if this is going to be good." And then you read the article and she's just talking about the blue screen. Herself.
Right. Or it says, Madam Web was absolutely psychotic. And it's like, yeah, you're right. It's, you're taking things out of context and you're creating drama and narrative that isn't necessarily there. But we've seen this before with the Marvels, which is it came out, people were just dumping on it. And well, no, I'm not going to go see it. You said it was crap. And then it drops on Disney. Unceremoniously, by the way, it just magically shows up on Disney Plus one day. And then all these people now are watching it going, I don't know what the hate was all about. I enjoyed it. Yeah, go watch it. Don't listen to us. Don't listen to anybody else. Just go watch it and make up your own mind. Listen, I crapped all over Argyle last week, and not necessarily because it was a bad movie, but because I had expectations. This one, I had no expectations.
Exactly. And so I talked about this last week, is that is the best way to go into a movie. Yeah. It's not always possible. Right. It's not always possible. Not,
especially when you're being teased and you see the trail. Like we were just talking off air about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. And here we are bringing back all the legacy characters, including Slimer. And you're like, oh, my expectations are kind of creeping up now.
Yeah, because at the end of last week, I went off on Sony coming out with all these peripheral characters in the Spider-Man universe because you can't blame them because that's all they have to work with. So they want to make their own MCU, and they're using all the tools that they have at their disposal. But my argument was that the audience at large cares about Spider-Man, but not these characters that nobody's really ever heard about, unless you're a hardcore comics fan.
Yeah. And even then, some of this stuff digs pretty deep.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, you're going to have to dazzle. It's been done before. Guardians of the Galaxy was not a name recognizable comic commodity. There's been different, iterations of those characters since like the 60s.
Right. But that came out during different times. That was when Marvel was largely kind of more or less the startup. They had already established some stuff, but this was the first outside of the box thing. So they were really taking a chance with Guardians.
Yeah.
And it was good. But now that they've become the top dog, the situation has changed. The media at large has got their knives out now.
We got to hack them down to size. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this behemoth needs to be, like you said, you don't blame Sony for doing whatever they can to kind of make something of these characters that they have possession of. They go out of their way to tease that this exists in the Spider-Man universe without even saying the word Spider-Man.
This has come closer than any other of these peripheral movies. Yeah, if you know what to look for.
Well, yeah, let's get into that because there's a couple things that happened after the fact. And I started doing my research going, wait, I didn't pick up on that at all.
This is because I was like catching things during the movie and I went with my family and I was just gleefully telling them, like, did you notice that? No.
Well, you might have to just point out some things to me because I thought I was pretty invested in this movie, but I guess I missed some of the key little Easter eggs.
So let's get into some news if you've got any.
Madam Web, that's what we're talking about. Yeah. We haven't even
I think anybody, even if they didn't look at the title, would know just from where the conversation is going, what we're talking about.
No, I think that's a fair. I just, I tend to just listen to I have a regular rotation of podcasts I listen to every week, and I don't always see what the title is or look at the graphics. I just, the new episode's up and I just listen. There's somebody who probably just tuned in and didn't realize what we were talking about. Madam Web. And our backup feature is actually a fun one.
I actually had more fun with that than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long time since I've seen this. Kingdom of the Spiders.
With William Shatner. Captain Kirk himself. Captain Kirk.
So we'll get into that. Let's do a little bit of news. Because since we're already dabbling in the MCU here, we're dancing on the peripheral. Last week, Marvel gave us a Galactus-sized box of chocolates for Valentine's Day. They have officially announced the cast of the new Fantastic Four movie.
Yes, they have.
Now, you actually reported this, that Pedro Pascal was, in fact, cast. And I think I was not quite on board. And it's true. He will, in fact, be Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards. I like him. I don't necessarily know that he's right for this role. But then again, we've gone down this road before.
Yeah, he said that about Michael Keaton.
I never said that about Michael Keaton. Well, I didn't know anything back then. In 1989.
The you in general, not you, Jeff.
Just cast the best person for the role. Don't put a Brad Pitt in there because it's going to bring X amount of people in the seats.
Well, I think they did that with the other three because I'm not really that familiar with the other three. I don't know.
That last one, that last Fantastic Four iteration, I couldn't tell you a single person that was in that.
Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, you're right. He was. And
the guy, the kid from the drumming movie with J. Jonah Jameson.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you at least two of these. So Vanessa Kirby is playing Invisible Woman / Sue Storm. We know her from The Crown, and she's been in the last two.
I wonder who she played in The Crown because I have seen The Crown.
Yeah, you'd have to see. I didn't write that down. I just wrote The Crown. Joseph Quinn is playing Human Torch / Johnny Storm, and we know him as Eddie Munson from Stranger Things.
Oh, okay. So I do know these people.
That's interesting and a little bit of an inspired casting because, as we know, going all the way back to the Chris Evans take, is that Johnny Storm is a no pun intended, a bit of a hothead. and likes to spar with Ben Grimm / the Thing, who will be played by Eben Moss Bachrach.
Now, this guy's face looks familiar to me, but I could not pinpoint what he's from.
He was in Punisher, the Netflix Punisher, Andor. He was a character in Andor, and he's in the FX series The Bear.
Okay,
but
I haven't seen The Bear.
Look at this guy, because one of the things, Marvel dropped this on Valentine's Day, and not only is this announcement with the casting, but they included a graphic, an illustration of these actors in their roles in Fantastic Four attire, sitting on the couch. Sue's got a lovely little heart-shaped box of chocolates. Ben Grimm is reading a Life magazine. So it looks like it's going to be set in the 60s, which I'm happy about, that it's going to be period accurate to the Fantastic Four's creation back in 1963.
Yeah, this is interesting. But of course, the big question is this a different universe than our current MCU? Because Fantastic Four obviously has never been mentioned.
Correct.
In any of our movies.
Although my son pointed out, because I did have quite the conversation with him yesterday, that in Multiverse of Madness, that Doctor Strange does make mention of a Fantastic Four in his universe. And I'm like, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that then, because I don't know. I mean, you could very well establish them and have them stuck in the negative zone all this time. Maybe they are from another timeline and somehow get thrown into the MCU 616. I mean, there's ways to play it.
Well, yeah, if they're still going to go forward with this Kang multiverse story, they could bring them in from their timeline, their universe.
Yeah. I will tell you this, in that illustration, there's also Herbie the Robot.
Ooh.
I know, right? I was like, that's a deep cut. Because if anybody, he was introduced into cartoons.
He was in the cartoon.
He replaced Human Torch because they didn't want a flaming character running around. They want kids to be like, oh, I'll set myself on fire.
Well, they didn't seem to have that problem with Firestar in Spider-Man and His Amazing
Friends. That is true. Well, the original Fantastic Four cartoon took place. It was actually released in the 60s, those original Marvel.
But not the Herbie ones. The Herbie ones were in the 70s.
In the 70s.
Yeah.
Well, whatever reason, some exec made a decision. Herbie, love him or hate him, will probably show up. If he's in this illustration, he's showing up.
Herbie on his days off chills with Scrappy Doo.
Scrappy Doo has a level of loathing all to himself.
And also Godzuki.
Godzuki, well... Yeah, if I had to get rid of one, I guess it would be Scrappy. They should make it like a superhero group with those guys. That would be fun.
That would.
But the only other thing, so in this illustration, there is a portrait of Ben Grimm in a NASA astronaut suit. At least I'm assuming that's who he's supposed to be, because he's in his Thing form in the illustration. So yeah, my guess is that they are going to hopefully. So this is being directed by Matt Shakman, by the way.
And what has he done before?
WandaVision.
Oh.
So he does have a little. He does have a little history with period pieces. I think he wrote the entire series and he directed the first 2 episodes, which did lean into those 60s sitcom black and white.
Right.
And this is set for 2025 release. So boy, they got to get cracking.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that probably they should go the same route as they did with Tom Holland's Spider-Man and maybe not do another origin.
Correct. We've seen it multiple times now. We've seen the origin. Everybody knows it. But yeah, I mean, it could, you could set it up just like the opening of $6 Million Man. You tell me everything you need to know about who and what the $6 Million Man is in the opening credits.
Yeah, you could very quickly do their origin in a flashback, 5 minutes, and that's it.
Yeah. So I don't know. There are rumors that Javier Bardem is set to play Doom. And then, of course, there's some kind of online fan campaign to get Cillian Murphy to get that role. But yesterday, I just saw that Henry Cavill confirmed that he is in a top secret role for Marvel. And I'm thinking, Doom.
What if he's the new Kang?
Wow, that's interesting.
Or a
Dave, a Kang, he could be. I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. Bardem has actually suggested rumors as Galactus. I'm sorry, because they also came out and announced that like the Silver Surfer is going to be a female, which is fine. They've done that in the comics have been around for 50 plus years, and so there has been a female version. But you want the original Norrin Rad. So maybe, I mean, does Galactus and Silver Surfer play the main bad guys, and you just have Doom, kind of like a Thanos character in the background, just kind of establish him? You don't really have to get into his origin or any of that stuff.
Yeah,
and
because
just kind of have him.
Doom does seem like he would be a really good villain over the whole entire MCU rather than just to be pigeonholed. But maybe, they could do a Loki thing like they did with Loki in the first Thor, and they still had him as a big bad in the first Avengers.
Yeah. Loki, probably the best story arc of any Marvel character in the MCU.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only other thing I'll bring up, which I'm surprised we didn't get this as a trailer, Deadpool 3 trailer dropped during the Super Bowl. And I saw the teaser, but I didn't go and watch the trailer online. You've already sold me my ticket. I don't want to know anything more about it, but I've seen screen grabs, and there is a scene where Deadpool has a copy of Secret Wars #5, which not the one that we read when we were growing up in the 80s. This is the Jonathan Hickman storyline from the 2000s that has been rumored to be the main basis for a Secret Wars movie. And that cover has Dr. Doom on the cover.
Gotcha.
And so, of course, that book is now like skyrocketed. People are like clamoring for it.
And I've seen a screen grab as well from that trailer. I didn't watch it either.
Okay.
But I've seen a screen grab where Deadpool is clearly in the TVA.
Oh, interesting. I think they're going to have a lot of fun with this, and they're probably going to really... There was a book, I think, called Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe. We kind of saw that at the end of the first one, second one, where he uses Cable's time travel thing to go back and just kind of like mess around with history, different timelines. He killed himself before he actually signed on for Green Lantern, and also killed off the horrible Deadpool version in that one Wolverine movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, which he actually played.
Yeah, which he did play, so he's complicit in that.
Yes. So, I could see this Deadpool being completely irreverent and bringing in a lot of this stuff that is just nothing but Easter eggs for nerds.
But so here's the question. If they did show the Deadpool trailer before Madam Web, would you have watched it?
How much? I'm a captive audience. I would have. And we got nothing. We didn't get a Craven trailer.
I got Ghostbusters again.
I did see Ghostbusters. There was very few trailers in front of this movie. So anyways, we'll finish up the news. I just saw that Luc Besson is set to direct a Dracula retelling.
Another one.
Yeah, because, we don't have enough of these. Christoph Waltz is set to star. I don't know in what capacity. I don't know. Is Universe still trying to set up their Dark Empire world, their Dark Monster world? Have they just abandoned it? Are we just doing standalones?
I don't know. Well, they're working on that Epic Universe theme park that's going to have a Universal Monsters area. So
I will only be happy if the entire thing is in black and white. Everything, including all the characters made up in black and white makeup, including
yourself somehow as you step.
That would be amazing. I step through and also then become like a aha video. I don't know. Do we need another Dracula movie? We do have Nosferatu coming.
Willem Dafoe, who's playing the character, sort of, again.
Well, that's typecasting right there. Yeah. He looks just like him. And then the only other, we just talked last week about your love or not so much of biopics.
Yes.
Ridley Scott is in talks to direct a Bee Gees biopic. You're stunned silence. I guess he's been after this for a while, that he really wants to make this.
But I'm just reflecting now on the Bee Gees story, and there's nothing in there that's really.
I don't know. They made it sound like this was perfect. This was.
Well, I mean, it's like there's like sibling arguments and rivalry, but there's much more of that going on with Oasis. So I think that would be
That's
a better
true. But
movie.
this will all be told with falsetto voices. I don't like you, Maurice.
So have you ever seen the SNL skit where Jimmy Fallon plays Barry Gibb and Justin Timberlake plays Robin Gibb?
No.
That's hilarious. So
I have
I'd
to
be
go
on
look
board
that
if
up.
they played
that
those
was
two
it.
parts.
All right. So I thought you'd be more excited.
Yeah.
I know you're not.
You see, I really like the Bee Gees.
I love the Bee Gees. I'm
Although
unabashedly a Bee Gees
I
fan.
have a limited tolerance for when Robin Gibb gets on the mic because it's like there's that really it's like he's hitting his Adam's apple when
Well,
he.
they all
when he's
had.
singing.
Listen, they all had the. I'm assuming that Andy will be playing a part in there somewhere.
I just hope that they don't do the scene where they come up with "Staying Alive." This is going to change the world.
So Madam Web, the guy behind the counter. Once I asked for my one ticket for Madam Web, had to launch into a French accent. Oh, Madam Web, huh? You're gonna go see Madam Web? Would you like some popcorn to go with that? And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? And he wouldn't give it up.
Was he waiting for somebody to buy a ticket so he could unleash this? So
here's the thing. So I saw it in the middle of the week, and my first showing is not even until 1:30. If I waited till Saturday, first showing's 3:00. 3:00. 3:00's right in the middle of my day.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're a day drinker, that really cuts into your. I got other things to do.
My theater on Saturday, because I always like to go first showing, right?
Yep.
My Regal first showing was 1:30 on Saturday. I'm like, that's a little bit too late for me. So I was looking around, and there is an NCG theater, one of the only ones in New York State.
NCG.
It's in Kingston, New York, and they have a very lovely array of recliner heated seats, which my Regal does not.
Heated.
My Regal does not have that.
That would have been the kiss of death. I mean,
so their showing was at 11 a.m. So I'm like, that's where I'm going.
That's it. Get in, get out. And it's not even a 2-hour movie, which is nice.
I think that is the accepted movie time for most people is 120 minutes. Anything over that, even by a minute, you're asking something of me.
Most Disney movies are 90 minutes at least, but even they're creeping up.
But Madam Web. So again, I go into this with zero negative expectations, I would say, because I've seen a few headlines by now.
Oh, yeah.
But I do have to say, with an 11 a.m. show, I was not the only one in the theater. There was probably about 30 other people in the theater.
Wow. But
between
still,
20 and 30.
That's pretty substantial. But again, this is Saturday.
Yeah.
I went Thursday.
You had two.
I had two. And the guy in front of me, he was 6 rows in front of me and was on his phone the entire time. My wife's like, why don't you get up and move? I said, because I picked my seat. I had a perfect spot.
Was he texting or was he talking?
He was scrolling.
Oh.
No, he was scrolling, but he was like holding his phone up. So the light was blaring right in my, so I had to just kind of lean over. That's all right. I found out where he was driving and I popped his tires on my way out. We got the Columbia Pictures 100th anniversary little graphic at the beginning.
Yeah, from what I understand, this is the first movie that has that's been out.
Ooh, I can't believe how many times they've changed that woman.
I know. Well, my favorite, obviously, is the first Spider-Verse movie. Yes. My favorite Columbia.
Yeah. Yeah, Sony. Why don't you do that? Mm-hmm. You've done those Spider-Verse movies so well. My knowledge of this character is limited to her first appearance, and that's just a cover. That's all. The Amazing Spider-Man 210 from 1980, or it's just an old lady with a blindfold on. It's a tangled web.
We open in the 1973 Peruvian Amazon.
Ooh, so right off the bat, we're like going exotic.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is like Raiders of the Lost Ark, this opening sequence.
Mm-hmm. It is in a lot. It's very similar to that in a lot of ways.
Yeah, we're knee deep in brush, and we were introduced to Cassie's mom, and I did not write down her name. Very pregnant woman running around in the Amazon.
So that's your first thought is like, why did she go to the Amazon when she's obviously 8 or 9 months pregnant?
There's a lot of questions that come up immediately because they're searching for this elusive spider that may have medicinal properties to it, magical medicinal properties. We get a bunch of exposition that there is a tribe of spider people that live in the treetops. We're introduced to her partner, Ezekiel, played by Tahar Rahim, who, as soon as they find a spider, he double crosses her, steals the spider, and shoots her.
Toss me the spider and I'll toss you the whip.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah, basically. Exactly. And he runs off, and lo and behold, here comes all the spider people who not only, well, they don't save her, she dies, but they help give birth to the baby.
So they do have to bring her back to their Playboy Mansion grotto that they have in an underground cave.
Yeah. Do they pay for the lighting inside the water there?
Yeah.
Where they get electricity?
And so the head spider person,
Bob,
Bob, the wizened spider person, he allows the spider, because apparently there's more than one. It's just not one. So they've got one of those special spiders too. They allow it to bite her before she gives birth. But that doesn't really do much for her because she does die in childbirth. But that spider, through biting the mom, passes some powers to.
Why didn't you just wait until the baby was born and then have the spider bite her?
Well, that would be like a little bit too barbaric, I think. It's like,
why would they even bother trying to save this woman or her baby, because she was looking to steal their spider? Huge leaps of logic.
There are, but I've been reading a lot of the stuff that I've been reading has been negative, as we've said before. But every once in a while, there's a voice standing up on its own saying, nobody realizes this, but this is going to be a huge cult movie. In the years to come, people are going to have fun watching this.
Not this generation. Everyone's just crapping on it.
Well, we'll see.
It's a sport now. It's a sport.
Okay. So now fast forward to 2003.
Which is interesting. So this movie takes entirely in 2003, which is an interesting choice. But I guess when you get into the bad guys' motivations, it does make a little more sense. But they bang you. We're in 2003 because they go out of their way to continually show you dated billboards or, songs that we know, but for whatever reason, these characters have heard for the very first time that day. Like, oh, yep. All right. We're squarely in 2003. There's a Blockbuster video store. Where in like Captain Marvel, I think it made more sense. But it doesn't matter. So this whole movie takes place in 2003. We fast forward 30 years.
So we're introduced to Dakota Johnson, who, and it doesn't take long to establish that, she's the baby. That was in the beginning of the movie as Cassie Cassandra Webb. So she is an EMT, she's driving an ambulance, and her partner is played by Adam Scott.
This guy something about this guy just really is off-putting to me.
He irritates me.
Yes, I don't know what it is though. I mean, well, he's the stupid brother and Step Brothers. So that right there, I hate that character.
If you've seen the show Parks and Recreation, he's all over that.
And he was the dad in Krampus that we just covered not too long ago. And I didn't like him in that either. So he's not a likable character. Ben,
very important.
I'm telling you right now, I did not pick up on this.
Are you serious? Right at the beginning of the movie, she addresses him by his full name, Ben Parker.
Ben Parker. It went right over my head. Went right over my head, right over my hair.
See, and I'm sitting there like Robert De Niro in pointing at the screen, right?
Which now it makes sense because there's a whole sub storyline. And I thought it was his sister, but it's got to be his sister-in-law.
It's his sister-in-law because her husband is away in Mumbai or somewhere. Richard Park.
Which is like, you're pregnant. You're 9 months pregnant with your baby, and you don't even know where your husband is. Unless he's like some secret agent. And
they're having, after, you establish that they're EMTs together, and they're back at the hospital or whatever, and they're in the break room, and Ben Parker is telling Cassie that he's met someone that he thinks it's serious. And I'm thinking it's Marissa Tomei. It's Aunt May that he's met. So they're building this pretty heavily if you just pick up on it.
Well, that's just it. I did not pick it up at all. I didn't even see the handle, let alone pick it up. Because numerous times he's like, oh, I'm really looking forward to being an uncle. And there's a running joke where guess what the baby's name is?
Yeah,
She even says at one point, oh, he's really swinging around in there or hopping around or
yeah.
Nope. Clueless. I was absolutely
But I was so
clueless.
happy that they only revealed this by giving you breadcrumbs because, like you said, Cassie is very awkward around people. So
that's putting it mildly.
that's putting it mildly. For example, they go back to the hospital with their latest patient that you see them cutting through traffic to save. The woman's little son comes up to them with a picture that he's drawn to thank them for saving his mother. And she's like, what do I do?
What do I do with this?
this?
But he's a jerk because he's like, just fold it up and throw it away when you get around the corner.
Yeah.
I still have little notes from kids who came up to me during COVID. Thank you for my package. Best UPS man. Jerks. Oh, let's throw this away.
Because she's friends with Ben Parker, not romantically, but they're just friends, they're partners, they're workmates. She gets invited to Ben Parker's sister-in-law's baby shower. So this is Mary Parker. And as you said, she's sitting there amongst all the women and she's like completely out of place. They're playing a game of guess the name with the baby.
I'm with Cassie on this though, because these baby showers just look horrible. I don't want to be any part of it. I don't even think I was a part of my.
But here we go. So I'm thinking, oh, they're going to say Peter. They're going to say Peter. And they get right to that point where she's about to reveal it. And then something happens, like Cassie has a vision or something. So it cuts it off. So you're not explicitly told, but if you follow the trail that they're leading, you just assume that that's where they're going with it. From that point on, I was in. I didn't care about anything stupid. I was like, okay, this is what I want. So
that's all it takes is just a little tease.
Yeah, this apparently, unlike Morbius, unlike Venom, is set in the Tom Holland Spider-Man universe, and I am digging this. So I'm in from that point on.
So he's a legacy baby. Like he was. If you follow this, then he's not the first Spider-Man. They don't even mention at one point Ezekiel's running around in a very Spider-Man-like suit. And the girl's like, he's a spider guy. They couldn't even say Spider-Man.
Yeah, well,
they went out of their way to not say
think
Spider-Man.
of it this way. They have never given Tom Holland's origin. So that world is completely open. They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
And these spider people, they have pretty much the same ability as Peter does, just without his scientific know-how to make webs.
But Cassie has this superpower. Ben does not. So how would it possibly transfer to?
Well, we don't know.
Peter.
Whatever Peter gets bitten by, he could still go to a high school science show, and one of these spiders could be on display that happens to bite him. But all he's got to do is go to Ezekiel's house. As it's established, all these characters are already tied somehow by the larger universe. These girls and Cassie, so why not?
Well, so Ezekiel, all right. So yes, so we're introduced to Ezekiel.
I think my buckets already are going to be much higher than
I'm going to say. Well, but here's the deal. I'm going to tell you right now. Expectations play significantly in this because I had no expectations. I'm gonna tear it apart because there are things to tear apart. The dialogue alone is horrible. The dialogue is written like a comic book, and I'm gonna tell you right now, people are crapping all over this. But if this came out during the Ben Affleck Daredevil Elektra years, it would have fit right in.
Yeah,
we're spoiled by what Marvel has done since then. This is not even a superhero movie. Because you're teased with these three Spider Women, but we only see them in flash forwards, which are his dreams. You never really get to see them come to fruition. You never get to see them, as superheroes per se.
Right. So the bad guy here is Ezekiel, and he's the guy that kills Cassie's mother in the beginning of the movie in the jungle. Steals the spider. And he's gotten his fortune from this spider. He still has it on display in his living room.
Because he's got a pretty substantial bachelor pad going on.
Yeah.
And he beds this woman and then just spews out 10 minutes of exposition on, I have this dream every night and these three women kill me. Every night I have the same dream. Okay. Like if I was this woman, I'd be like packing up my clothes going, I'm going to show myself out now. Thank you.
So she's just listening to it. And it turns out through his exposition that she works for national security.
Yeah. And he just needed her passkey.
Yes. He needed her passkey. And also one of the powers that he has from the spider is that if he touches you with he touches your bare skin, the spider venom will go pass through him and into you.
That must have been horrible. 30 years you can't touch somebody, or you just kill
unless he can control it. But
this is like Rogue in the X-Men.
Because they don't explain whether he can control it or not, but you see it go through him, and it's like the Evil Dead when the possession is coming through. You see all the black veins.
Yep.
He says that he'll turn it off if she gives him the password, and she does, but he doesn't turn it off.
Don't believe him.
All he wants is to get this from her so he can have access to this technology, so he can feed the faces that he sees in his dream into the computer, so he can somehow then find
made
the girls.
These composites of these girls based on his dreams. He now has faces, graphics.
Well, maybe he went to a sketch artist. Who knows? But he's got these faces.
Yeah.
He feeds into the computer.
But the interesting thing to me is he tells her he's cursed because he's not aged. We've now jumped 30 years. Cassie goes from a baby to, a semi-functioning adult. And he is not aged. And he tells this woman that he's cursed because he stole the spider. But I'm like, so if Cassie's mom had successfully removed the spider from Peru, would she have been cursed?
Well, maybe he says he's cursed because he's having this dream every night of his life that he knows when he's going to die, because not only do the spider people, jump around and climb on things, but they also have psychic abilities. This is all that Cassie has, maybe because she wasn't bitten directly by the spider. It bit her mother.
This is the one thing I will say. Her powers are never clearly defined.
But by the end, it's very strongly suggested that she is like an empath, psychic warrior that's like almost on a level of Professor X. If she could just harness her powers, it's, unlimited what she could do. That's the impression you're given by the end of the movie.
Yeah, which is what I'm saying, what I said before, which is it's not a real superhero movie because it's an origin for all four of these characters.
Mostly it's like a chase action movie. That's really what it is.
It's a lot of running. It's a lot of falling into water. 3 times she falls into the water. Twice she leaves these girls all on their own. Ezekiel actually brings this to fruition. It's his machinations trying to kill these women that cause Cassie to connect with them and why they're trying to kill him in the future. He has created his own misery.
Not only is he seeing his future of these girls killing him, she's also seeing their future of him trying to kill these girls. So at one point, they are all in Grand Central Station together. What Ezekiel is seeing, the girls are killing him when they're young adults and they're in costume. But that's far in the future. They're only teenagers in the reality that this movie
is like, let's
in.
go back and kill Hitler before he becomes a bad
Or
guy.
let's go back and kill John Connor before he becomes the resistance leader.
Which is exactly, so you mentioned this at the top of the show, that the script was rewritten, and that is exactly that's what the original story was.
But instead of John Connor,
it was Peter Parker.
It was Peter Parker. Yep.
Which would have been a much more slap in the face, like not a slap in the face, but a much more like in your face. Like, all right, we are clear, because we do get the Daily Bugle a couple times. We know that it's established. Yes. And yeah, I completely missed out on the whole Uncle Ben thing and whatever. So they are teasing that, yes, this is the Tom Holland Spider-Man universe.
And most importantly, it is established that Poughkeepsie exists.
Yes. Although none of this makes sense either, because they're on a train to Poughkeepsie, but somehow end up in Jersey.
No, because the guy says she gets on another train to go to Jersey, because the guy asks,
"Oh, he's like, is
this the train to Mount Vernon?" And she's like, "No." So he gets off, and then she has to get off the train because Ezekiel's on it. So she gets on,
which doesn't go anywhere near Jersey.
I don't know, but I know the Metro North that goes from Poughkeepsie to New York.
Yeah,
and there are no seats along the windows on that train.
No, I know that was another. And the other thing too which is Ezekiel, like in her visions, he's coming onto the train, not in his spider costume, just as a human. So clearly she recognizes him, and the girls recognize him because later she's like, well, I got to figure this all out. And she goes back. So I guess the spider tribe not only brought her back to the States, but gave her all of her mom's possessions, including all of her journals. And I'm like, you've had these for 30 years and you're just reading it now?
She probably thought her mom was crazy, right? Because
how
else would you take that? Yeah.
Because she does imply a couple times that, yeah, my mom didn't care about me. Why else would she be in the friggin' jungle 9 months pregnant? It's referred to the fact that she grew up in the foster care system. So that's how she kind of relates to these three girls. All three of them have kind of crappy family lives. So all three of these are future Spider Women in the Marvel comic universe. Our actors, Sydney Sweeney, Celeste O'Connor, and Isabella Merced. And I liked all three of these characters. I mean, they're stupid teenagers who, clearly think that this woman's nuts. And that she's at one point they even start screaming she's trying to abduct us. She's like, no. That guy walking on the ceiling is trying to kill you.
And they don't really establish like what is the deal with Ezekiel's alter ego. Does he fashion himself as a superhero, a supervillain? What does he dress up for? So
yeah, because even the Spider Tribe kind of had like spider-like garb, but not to the level where it looks like a Spider-Man suit. And that's what his looks like, a dark gray Spider-Man suit. Like, yeah, Spider-Man 2099 is what he looks like.
He's not like a vigilante. Nobody knows who this is in the movie.
So I show up on the train out of costume.
So these are things I did not ask myself.
Yeah. The product placement of Pepsi in this is pretty large.
It's large and in charge. I know. And our NCG theater is a Coke theater. It's not a Pepsi theater.
Oh, I'm surprised they didn't just like blur it out. So numerous times characters are popping Pepsis, and there's a huge fight sequence right out of Highlander at the end of the movie with the big Pepsi Cola.
I know. I'm like, is that the same set as Highlander? Because that has got to be an homage. It's got to be an homage to Highlander, that whole ending.
Highlander was Silver Cup Studios, which actually exists. If you're taking the 7 train from Manhattan over into Queens, you go right by it. It's right on the
well,
East
I
River.
think that it probably was meant to be the same place, but they just for that one more product placement, they changed it to Pepsi.
Well, it's a fireworks factory with Pepsi logo up on top of it.
Right.
And all I could think of was that there's a mill house. Like, when do we get into the fireworks factory? But here's the deal. So she's on the run now. She steals a taxi cab, a yellow cab. She does take the license plates off it, but she's driving from Jersey back into Manhattan with a stolen. They have medallions on it. Her number, the cab number is still on the top. The cabbie called us in and said somebody stole my cab.
That's the one thing that every time I saw her in that cab, I'm like, still she's driving that cab? Yeah. She drives through the diner. Yeah. In the cab, and then she keeps driving it,
and she goes through the middle of times. Oh no, that's the ambulance. She
steals an ambulance. I'm like, now is she going to drive this for the next hour with this ambulance?
Yeah.
But that was the only thing that took me out of the movie. Every time I saw her in that cab, it took me right out of the movie.
Well, she goes into the woods. She leaves the girls there and says, "I'll be back in 3 hours."
Don't be dumb.
Yeah, and
stay
they're
here.
Dumb. They decide to leave. And they leave the fire going. I'm like, that girl was just telling us what a Girl Scout she is, and she left the fire blazing in the middle of the woods. But they walk back to a diner that they passed, and then next thing you know, they're hitting on a bunch of boys and they're dancing on the table. And I'm like, you deserve to be eviscerated.
And nobody's coming out from the back of that diner and yelling at them to get down off their tables.
Right. The amount of food that was being brought out to them was just ridiculous as well. And then she's like, oh, I can't. The one girl, she's like, oh, I can't wait. I'm going to get some cherry pie. And Julie's like, no, we don't have time for cherry pie. You don't have time to eat what you got in front of you. What are you doing?
So the movie at this point that we're talking about does become pretty much a Terminator movie anyway, because they're on the run from this Spider-Man guy who is trying to prevent future events.
Right. And you've already teased us with the idea that these women are going to become superheroes. And we get glimpses of those in his dream. you're like, all right, is Cassie going to bite them? Like, how is she going to infuse them with this spider powers?
Yeah. And are they actual heroes? Because are they killing this guy on purpose in this vision?
Well, he tried to kill them in the past, so you got to kill him in the future. It's a big snake biting his own tail, man. Yeah. And then next thing you know, she's like, I got to go back to Peru. Why? Why do you have to go back to Peru? You already got all of your mom's notes. She flies back to Peru and finds the tree that her mom took a picture of 30 years ago.
But she makes it back to the grotto. More importantly, the
that's because the Bob the Spider Tribe guy was waiting for her.
He's like, I knew you'd return.
Yeah, like, you just been sitting here waiting for you. And I normally hate cinematic CPR because it's never done properly. But she goes out of her way to teach these girls CPR. So this is coming back into play.
But I liked it because, when you learn CPR, they always tell you if you get tired and there's somebody else there, trade off.
Yeah.
So they can keep going.
They didn't even make it a minute. Speaking of BG, staying alive, if you ever have to perform CPR on somebody, do it to the beat of Staying Alive. Yep. BG Staying Alive, 100 beats per minute. But so she meets Bob, the spider guy, in the Peruvian forest. He dumps a bunch of exposition and tells her that, oh no, you were going to be born with some rare disease, and she was trying to find a cure for you, and that's why she was in the jungle.
So she did care about her. She did. Yes, care
correct.
About her.
Mom cared all along, and here he was crapping on her. But then he gives her this horseshit line: when you take on the responsibility, great power will come. It's like, what does that even mean?
I was waiting for her to awkwardly paraphrase that at the end to Mary.
Yeah.
But that never happened, unfortunately.
No. Okay. All right. And he pulls like a Doctor Strange where he pushes her aura out of her and she falls into the water for the third time. And second time. I'm sorry. First time was off the bridge.
This is where it goes into Professor X territory. He says, your mind has infinite potential. You can be in more than one place at one time using the web. So the web, it's like this psychic web that's almost like a Cerebro type thing that she only scratches the surface in this movie of how to use. But will there be a sequel? I really doubt it. Unless it finds its audience once it hits streaming. Maybe it will.
Which I hope. I mean, so I have seen a fair amount of people who are not listening to The Scuttle and going and be like, I took my kids and we had a great time. We enjoyed it. Okay. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. I would be one of those. I would be one of those people.
Yeah. I did read that they had to remove a man from a theater because they caught him masturbating during the Sydney Sweeney scenes. So he enjoyed it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Did that actually happen?
That is, no, I'm not making it up. Yeah, that happened. So, but
that was the guy on his phone in front of you.
He was downloading.
Yeah.
But it's a big build up to nothing is my one problem with it, first of all, my biggest problem is she's not likable.
I think that she is. I think she warms up enough by the end that you're on her side. I was at least.
Awkward. She's awkward to the point. So the fireworks, there's a big battle scene. So we're teased with the idea that the fireworks factory is a tinderbox, and she uses that as a mousetrap for Ezekiel.
Yeah, so this is established earlier because as EMTs and the fire department show up to this fire earlier in the movie at this warehouse, yet they leave all the explosives there.
Correct, right. Yeah.
And they don't board it up or anything. It's just open to the public.
Well, they did put up the yellow.
Yeah, they put up the tape. They put up
the yellow caution tape. Don't go in there. Fireworks. Okay. So they go in there and immediately set off flares everywhere. This thing's blowing up left and right.
So this is where it turns into the end of Highlander as they go up to the roof of this place.
The letters are dropping and she's got this clairvoyant where she can kind of see in the future these events unfolding and she can change it. She figured out pretty quickly when the pigeon ran into her window. She realized, well, if I open the window, let's see what happens. And he flies and comes around and flies back out. And she's like, wow, I can change the future. I see a certain vision and I can change it. But all three of these girls handily get their ass handed to them because outside of CPR, she has taught them nothing. She has nothing to teach them.
Well, no, it's not like she can teach them karate or anything. She doesn't have that skill set.
She should have put him on a train to Poughkeepsie.
Yeah.
After all,
In the background, all this happening, Mary's water breaks and she gives birth to Peter Parker.
Okay, Ben is a paramedic and he doesn't know what to do when her water breaks.
Right.
He's a paramedic. Ah!
Yeah, I think he actually says it's going to take a while for the ambulance to get here.
And then as soon as they leave, the ambulance shows up.
Yep.
If you just waited 10 seconds, you're a friggin'... Okay.
But as you said, Cassie establishes, she can change the future. So she's the one that ends up taking out, killing Ezekiel at the end of the movie.
But
so it's never the girls. It's never the girls. She changes their future as well.
But not before she is blown into the water. They have to save her with CPR. And then it's clearly obvious that her eyes are burnt out.
Yeah, so by the end, she becomes the Madam Web, more so like the Madam Web that comics readers are.
But like you said, even more so, Professor Xavier.
Yeah.
She's literally in a wheelchair. Why are you in a wheelchair? Your eyes were burned.
Well, maybe she was crippled as well.
Maybe. They don't explain it.
No.
But now they have like a little headquarters and they had a window that looked like a spider web.
So Ezekiel gets killed by the Pepsi sign, right? That's how...
Pepsi will kill you if you drink too much of it.
One more product placement.
You think Pepsi agreed to this? By the way, your product's going to kill our antagonist. Really?
The very end, the happy ending where Peter is born. We still don't see the father because he's an absentee father. So it's Ben who's sitting there with his sister-in-law in the hospital. And we see that Cassie has adopted these 3 girls. They're all living with her.
Yeah, it's never explained. I mean, like I said earlier, they, go on about the fact that they all have like crappy family lives. And this one's parents are in Paris and this one doesn't want anything. I don't know. So the 3 of them, why they stuck with her? I guess they had no one better to hang out with. I'm like, all right, well, this lady saved us. And she did teach me CPR. So okay, I'll stay with her.
And talk about Dr. Strange. It looks like that she's in a sanctum herself.
Right. Like I said, the nice big window with the spider web design on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll take this one.
And so they come back. They've gotten Chinese takeout. Cassie says, because she's blind by this point, she says, oh, Kung Pao chicken. That's perfect. How did you know? Really? You don't know how she knew by this point?
Because she ordered it and she can smell it. Smell Kung Pao chicken.
So she has a vision at the very end. She sees the girls just like Ezekiel did in costume, but now they're doing good things rather than killing people.
So my impression is that they don't have powers. They're just in costume.
Well, the one girl had the mechanical spider legs. So who knows where she got those?
Yeah, I guess Tony Stark.
So here's the other tidbit that I don't know if you caught on by the end of the movie. One of the girls says, yeah, Ben's in the hospital with Mary. He gets to be an uncle, which means he gets all the fun. And then Madam Web says, that's what he thinks.
Oh, implying that she knows that he's going to die. So why didn't you save Uncle Ben?
Knowing that Ben is going to raise this kid. No, not knowing that Ben is going to die, because one of the girls says he's an uncle. That means you have the kid, but you have all the fun, meaning you don't have to raise the kid.
You are correct.
And so then Madam Web says that's what he
I am embarrassed to say that this movie worked on a level that is above my pay grade. I did not pick up on any of this. I am embarrassed. Nope.
They couldn't have, spelled it out better.
It was probably
it's
because it was so in my face. I probably was like, "There's no way they're doing this." Yeah. Okay. So, so in other words, Uncle Ben ages significantly in 20 years.
If it's the Tom Holland Uncle Ben, Marissa Tomei is not an old lady,
and we don't see Uncle Ben. He doesn't get that origin story.
No, we don't know what happened to him.
You are correct. Okay. All right. Maybe this is genius after all. Holy crap.
You see, I was completely on board with this.
Wow.
Completely.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I will tell you that I saw somebody had posted, they're speculating why this movie is not doing well. And this may be my favorite reason of all. It is speculated that the reason behind the film's overwhelming negative reception is the notable absence of Dr. Michael Morbius.
Yeah, you know who wrote that? You know who wrote that
one? Jared Leto.
Yeah.
The Marvel legend and living vampire himself. Stop yourself. I am going to say I enjoyed this more so than Argyle. Now I gave Argyle, I think 2.5 last.
What did I
week.
give Argyle? 3.5?
Oh, I think you went 3.5.
Yeah.
But again, this goes back to expectations.
And here's another very notable thing that we haven't spoke of yet.
Okay.
At the end of every movie, I always pull out my phone and say,
Yes.
does this movie have a post-credit scene?
Nope.
And it did not. So it says, so the first article I pulled up, I always like just key in keywords, Madam Web post-credit scene.
Yeah.
Bam. And so then I pull up the first article I see. Here's what it said. There's nothing at the mid-credits or the post-credits, so you can run for the exit as soon as the credits roll. Although you may want to leave sooner than that, but consider this post as your clairvoyant vision of the future, which will allow you to stop yourself from losing 116 minutes of your life that you'll never get back. So I almost threw my phone at looking at that. I'm like, that is unnecessary.
Is that uncalled for? You think?
It's uncalled for.
It is being called the worst movie ever. And I'm like, no, I mean, there's plenty of crap movies out there. Again, I bring up the Ben Affleck Daredevil and Elektra, and they were stinkers. But when Daredevil came out, we were right there in line, and damn, we enjoyed it. It doesn't hold up. It's horrible.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I really liked it.
Kind of like a throwback. I'm not going to say that I really liked it, but I enjoyed myself. Yes, it's fun to sit here and pick it apart. The leaps in logic are just ridiculous.
This is a future Tubi movie. So say if we're still doing this podcast 3-4 years time, new Spider-Man movie comes out, we hadn't seen Madam Web, just like hypothetical.
Yeah, let's pair it up.
Let's pair it up.
Let's see what this stinker's all
let's
about.
pull it up on Tubi, and we never saw it because we were scared away. We would have loved it.
This may be a future Riff Tracks.
Oh, definitely. So here we go. Some of the negativity out there. This was a pleasant take. Slate, I don't know if that's an online magazine. I think it is.
Okay.
Sam Adams of Slate. The movie is marginally competent at its best, and at its worst, an incoherent mishmash populated by slumming movie stars who make little effort to disguise the dawning realization that they've made a terrible mistake. It's a travesty, a disaster, a blight on the history of superheroes in cinema, and I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Hey, there you go. Wow, that took a turn. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. Boy, turn off the hate. It is like I said, it's a sport. And especially when you start dealing with these female superheroes and a female director, these fanboys just get their undies in a bunch.
Like I said, I was really empathetic with Dakota Johnson's character. As much as you didn't like her.
I really didn't like her. I didn't like there was nothing
like you feel her pain in that baby shower, you can.
Yes, the awkwardness of it all because she's so. But
and someone that's not used to dealing with kids, this kid comes up to you. You don't know how to converse with this being. What do I do with this?
I don't know. I just feel if she grew up in the foster system, it's like, why would anybody want to adopt you if you're so off-putting?
Maybe they didn't.
Maybe she just,
It's not surprising that it's not doing well, even if it was lauded out there. I just don't think that there's enough interest in these peripheral Spider-Man characters to make a box office success out of a Madam Web or a Morbius.
Like I said, I'm super surprised that we didn't get a Craven trailer because if someone's sitting in the theater watching this is your audience.
Yeah.
For that movie. And we know it's in the can.
I haven't seen one yet, but I think Christina mentioned that she saw one a while ago.
Yeah, I've seen stills, but that's about it. And now with this, with the Marvel hopefully getting back on track by announcing Fantastic Four, this could be a whole leaping off point. Maybe we'll get they'll get their act together. But I don't know. We just mentioned Into the Spider-Verse. Sony did that so well. Those two movies are just spectacular. It just doesn't.
Yeah, so we know that
different group is making these live action ones.
But that's not to say that we didn't enjoy it. So unfortunately, that is not the consensus out there. As of our recording here, it's made $12.5 million in its first 5 days, and it cost $80 million to make.
That's still, I mean, in this day and age, compared
Relatively
to some of these
low.
yeah, but still, because again, outside of Ezekiel in his spider costume, there's really nothing superhero-y about this.
Maybe it was a good call to not make it a Terminator movie where the Ezekiel's going after the baby Peter, because then it would have been all about Peter Parker.
Correct.
And that would have overshadowed anything else going on. But yeah, I liked it. I took it for what it was. I had fun with it, and I'll probably watch it again once it comes out on streaming.
Okay, you sadistic mother. No. I'll go higher than Argyle. I'll give it 3.
You'll give it 3.
I'll give it 3.
I'll give it equal. If I gave Argyle 3.5, I'm going to give this 3.5.
I was entertained in the theater for my hour and 56 minutes or whatever it was.
Liked it better than Morbius. A lot better than Morbius.
Well,
I'll tell you that.
What would have happened if Morbius showed up in here?
Oh,
you would have lost your mind.
I would have lost a bucket. That's what I would have lost.
Oh, crap. So there you go. Never take our word for any of this or what you're reading online. Go see it for yourself.
Yeah. And I really do hope, because they're obviously going somewhere with the Tom Holland Spider-Man by having
Are they?
I hope that they continue that. Okay. I don't know. But all right. So let's leave Madam Web and let's go to the concession stand. What do you got, Jeff?
Well, I'm going to play off the silky cocoons of our fuzzy friends that are spinning up some fun in our backup feature.
Okay.
And I am going to be bringing you cotton candy.
Ooh.
Almost went with the bubble gum that the rumors were that had spider eggs in them. But there's really... We might have already talked about it. We already talked about it. And there's really nothing else that you can... spin off that. So yeah, cotton candy, spider webby, because I learned tarantulas don't make webs. They spin a silk, but they don't make webs, not like a regular spider. So it looks very cotton candy when we get into that feature. People are all wrapped up in cocoons.
Are there literal webs in Kingdom of the Spiders, or just cocoons?
it's all like cocoony, webby. It's like very flowy stuff.
So
you don't really see
somewhat
a lot of
accurate then. Somewhat accurate.
Yeah. So cotton candy, as we know it now, was first created in 1897. 2 gentlemen from Tennessee joined forces, John C. Wharton and William Morrison. And the interesting thing about this, Wharton was a confectioner, but Morrison was a dentist. That's right, a dentist. So this man saw this coming. He's like, you know what? I'm going to create this just so I have repeat customers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So together, this duo, they created a machine that spins heated sugar through a screen, creating this floss-like texture that we all know and love. And it wasn't until 1904 that they actually debuted this sugary treat, but it was not known as cotton candy. They referred to it as fairy floss. Yeah.
How long did that last?
Fairy floss. Well, we'll get into it. So this was introduced 1904, as I mentioned, at the St. Louis World Fair. And the fair, which is crazy, ran from April through December. So that's like 8 months. That's huge. That's a fair comes for a couple of weeks, but I guess back in 1904, you had nothing better to do. And by the end, they had sold over 68,000 boxes of fairy floss at $0.25 a box. So $17,000, but in today's economy, you're basically talking about $500,000. So again, not bad for 8 months worth of work. And boy, they did. We are on to something. So they quickly patented their idea, not only the process, but the machine. And they changed their name and they created a banner called the Electric Candy Company, which sounds fun.
Yeah, it does.
Because electricity was pretty new back then. But what they did was they started marketing both the candy and the machine through newspapers that you could start your own little franchise. You could buy this, and the only way you could get fairy floss, because they had the patent, was to go through them. If you wanted to make fairy floss or you wanted to eat fairy floss, you had to go through these two gentlemen. So they created this stuff and then immediately cornered the market. And it wasn't for another 25 years before their patent expired that any kind of competition was allowed to come in. And in 1921, are you ready for this? Another dentist by the name of Yosef Lascaux broke onto the scene and made a strategic change to the name just to avoid association. And based on his Louisiana heritage, he referred to his sugary concoction as cotton candy. Because it reminded him of the cotton in the fields of Louisiana. And in the 1920s, huge, significant history of cotton candy. They kind of stopped calling it fairy floss, and it just took on the name cotton candy. So just like over the years, like Q-tips, which used to be a brand name, are now just generic for all Q-tips. Same thing with Zipper and Kleenex. Those are brand names that have lost their trademark because we just use them as the generic term. So that became the permanent name. Australia seems to be the only place where they still refer to it as fairy floss.
Really?
So don't go there. Don't go to Australia and ask for cotton candy because I'll look at you like you're a knucklehead. Wasn't until 1949 Gold Medal Products created improvements on the original mechanics. So almost, a very long time, 50, almost 60 years before any changes were made to the actual mechanics of what these guys had originally designed. And it wasn't until the 70s that there was a fully automated machine. And they made them in numerous sizes. So the bigger ones, the industrial size, can take up to like 3 pounds of sugar at once. But you can buy these things now, you make them on your counter.
Yeah.
The little round contraptions and whatnot. And it's always fun. We used to do it in Cub Scouts.
Yeah, and it does look like, you get the little tendrils flying in the air. It does look like a spider web.
Yeah, it's like eating asbestos. So I'm not a big cotton candy fan.
No, it's only ever good when you first get it.
Oh, yeah, because once...
and then when it gets all hard and wet...
You want to put it in the bag and take it home, and then it's like you got like mouth... You can literally see like wet mouth bites.
But even when you first get it, it's like it's too much sugar because...
But it's a novelty. It's an absolute novelty. And so the first fairy floss, when it was sold at St. Louis World Fair, was just white. There was no color.
Okay.
And for decades, it was just white. And then when this other guy created cotton candy, he introduced pink and blue. But since then, we now have flavors that range from dill pickle to gingerbread. And
well, you can also get like Coke flavor, Dr. Pepper flavor.
Well, that's right. So I found this company. They're called Spun Paradise, and it is organic cane sugar and contains no additives or food coloring dyes, and is grown under strict organic guidelines. It's all sugar, but it's organic sugar. So, but yeah, flavors range from lychee, mango, pineapple, watermelon, strawberry, caramel, marshmallow. I just said root beer, vanilla, banana, cherry, cheesecake, champagne, peppermint, pumpkin spice, and gingerbread, as I mentioned.
I don't know if I've ever had another flavor other than straight up cotton
candy. I can't tell you the last time I had cotton.
I think the only time I've ever gotten it, I can't tell you the last time I got it for myself, but for my son is whenever we've gone to the local county fair. That's the only time.
Yeah, that's like a
maybe once or twice to when we go to Disney because they sell it there too in bags.
Oh yeah, in the bags, not even on the stick anymore, right?
No, it's just pre-made and pre-bagged. Yeah.
That's like the popcorn. I want my popcorn fresh. I want to see you make that cotton candy. Don't make it 3 days before.
And you can it's either always red or blue, but I'm pretty sure that the same
pink
flavor.
Yeah. Probably in that regard. But what's interesting, so there's a Las Vegas shop called Creamberry, and they've created what they refer to as the American Cotton Candy Burrito. And it's rolled up ice cream and sprinkled in a cotton candy shell.
And like a hardened shell, just
the
way that we were talking about
like you
before.
Just said, what's disgusting. And you can't if you're just eating this with your fingers, it's a disaster. It's a
It
mess.
is. Oh, it's terrible.
It's horrible.
Terrible.
So, the tie-in with our spiders, I went with cotton candy or fairy floss. They didn't go with spider web.
If you're in Australia, that blows my mind that they still call it fairy
you want
floss.
some fairy floss?
Yes. You call that cotton candy? This
Right.
is cotton candy.
That was on TV the other day.
Was it?
Yeah, I watched it. I was like, wow, this does not age well. Especially when you know he left his wife for that woman. He was a good-looking gentleman. So anyways, cotton candy, there you go.
All right. Are we going to bring it
We're
back
in.
to the theater with us?
Yeah,
Or
we're
is
going to
that-
need something to combat these spiders.
Oh,
I don't need to see old man Jenkins all wrapped up like a
no.
mummy.
Kingdom of the Spiders.
1977, the same year Star Wars came out.
I know so many of these. If you go through Tubi and a lot of the quote unquote horror movies of your childhood, a lot of them came out in 1977. The first movie that comes up after you finish Kingdom of the Spiders that it wants you to watch is Empire of the Ants. Also,
Oh, yes, that's right. You're right. It does come up.
1977.
And you know what's weird is that has Elizabeth.
Taylor?
Yeah, no, I think it is because I thought she was in this movie.
Who? Elizabeth Taylor? No. Joan Collins is in
Joan
Empire of the Ants.
Collins. Okay. I was thinking that Joan Collins is in this movie. I think I was mixing these movies together.
You probably
But
were.
this is amazing because this really, we talked about it with Grizzly and some of these other movies, just takes the Jaws template
Yeah.
and replaces it. But this is so well done.
They call this eco horror, which
Eco-horror.
is really just Jaws, but
You know what's eco horror? Food of the Gods.
oh yeah.
That is eco horror.
So
actually,
you see all these movies, Day of the Animals is another one.
Yep.
All these movies came out like in the same 2-year period after Jaws was
it's
released.
like its own subgenre.
Mhm.
But this literally, is right out of the Jaws playbook where you got the mayor. Oh, we got a county fair going on. We can't shut down.
Yep.
Take care of these spiders. Yeah, we see how that goes.
Did you watch this on Tubi?
Yeah.
First of all, okay,
Yeah.
so it's cleaned up, so it looks nice.
It does look nice. William Shatner in all of his glory.
I know, and so this is talking about the Shat. This is post Star Trek, obviously, but it's during his Star Trek hiatus. So the motion picture has not been released yet. So he's trying to do other things during the 70s.
Yeah, sure.
So
They all were, because I think DeForest Kelley was in Night of the Lepus.
was
The
he?
Giant rabbits. Yes, he
Oh,
is.
we're gonna have to cover that one day.
Yep.
So we mentioned this last week that I believe that this is the king of killer spider movies.
Yes.
Forget your arachnophobia.
Arachnophobia can't hold a candle to this.
No. It can't.
Although I will tell you, my wife was not happy when she found out what I would be watching.
No.
She's like, I don't like spiders. I said, they're tarantulas. First of
Mm.
all, they're tarantulas. They're not spiders. So
Who is ever going to find a tarantula like crawling up their, at the corner of their room?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, when we get to the end of this, I found an IMDb review that is just glorious. Speaking of glorious, this movie immediately opens with, this is not quite green slime territory with a theme song.
If I were to compile a theme song playlist,
This is right up there.
Green Slime would be on
Yep,
it, and this would be as well.
Dorsey Burnett. Just the fact that this guy's name is Dorsey is fantastic, and it just sets the tone. It's like, all right, let's go.
It's like a Glenn Campbell song.
Yes, yeah. I bet you Glenn Campbell probably was busy. He's probably on tour.
The name
So
of the
they're
song.
like, all right, we'll get this.
The name of the song that opens the movie is Peaceful Verde Valley, and Verde Valley is where this takes place. A real
Camp Verde,
peaceful Verde Valley. And he talks about there's a line about the unknown and not knowing what tomorrow will bring. And this song is written for the movie. It stopped short at actually mentioning spiders in the lyrics.
See, you should have gone all in. What a tangled web we've weaved. I don't know what's more believable, the point of view of the spiders crawling through the grass, or that Shatner is a veterinarian.
I think that the monkey should have recorded this. This would have been a B-side to Pleasant Valley Sunday.
Peach of Verde Valley. But we immediately get the shot of the cow in the field. And that cow's a pretty damn good actor.
It is. The cow's like looking like, what?
All these
What?
animals are really like the dog, like all these animals are really kind of concerned that there's these spiders out here. I don't think that cows really pay attention to bugs in the ground.
And do cows actually wear cowbells? Because this cow does.
This one does. Well, back in the day, yeah, you had to know where your cows were.
You can, and that's a great cinematic device because you know that the cow is nervous if it's shaking that cowbell.
Yeah. But like I said, the cow was, he's not up there. He's not Tiger, a boy and his dog level acting skills, but that cow pulled it off. And I love it. Immediately, the shark's point of view going through the grass. And I'm like, this is glorious.
And the camera's coming at this cow. Bertha is the cow's name. Coming at this cow from all angles. So she gets it.
Yeah.
There's no way that she can avoid it.
No. Yeah. Poor Bertha. So directed by John Bud Cardos, right? I don't know who this guy is.
He's a stunt man, and he's made some other movies that I was familiar with. Mutant is one of them, but this is definitely the shining star on his resume.
Nice.
And he personally convinced Mr. Shatner to take the role. He was hesitant to take the role. Why? I don't know. But
he did have his own communicator still. He had a beeper.
But poor Bertha, the camera freeze frames on her panicked eye, and you're, and then cut to Shatner roping a steer. A perfect jump cut. One of the better ones in cinema history. I might. So
you do know that he's a very accomplished horse rider. I actually saw him ride at an equestrian event at Madison Square Garden once, and I almost lost my mind. Yeah, because my girlfriend at the time was really big into equestrian. And we went, and I had no clue. And now riding William Shatner, and I was like, "What? Captain Kirk?" Like I could just picture him and friggin' Leonard Nimoy hanging out down in the stalls underneath Madison Square Garden. Oh, I was tickled pink. Yeah, he's actually a very accomplished rider.
Well, you see him riding, and it's obviously him.
They're like, all right, well, we'll let you ride a horse. Okay, yeah. Can I rope a calf? Yeah, okay. Can I hit on all the women? Yeah, okay. Like this guy is not just a veterinarian in town, but he's like the town drunk, the town whore, and apparently we need him to rescue everybody.
So he's hitting on his sister-in-law. Because his brother died in Vietnam. Well, he's not coming back, so. So he's looking after her and his niece, the little girl that's in the movie is his niece. So you see them like tussle because she's on horseback as well. They get off their horses. They're play fighting in the dirt.
Yeah, I don't know.
He's got his hands all over. And then suddenly she calls him John, his brother's name, and he shoves her away. So they have a complicated relationship.
Is that what it is?
Out of the gate, yeah.
It looks more like a non-consensual relationship.
So yeah, as you say, he's a veterinarian in this movie. So he gets torn away from his sister-in-law to.
She was saved.
To overall dude.
Walt Colby. Walt and his wife Birch. Yes.
So you never see this guy out of his overall. I don't know. You do actually at one point. But
he was in a suit.
In the beginning, he's got an overall outfit with no shirt.
He's a farmer.
But at least he puts on the shirt once Shatner comes over. He's going to have company.
He looked like an extra in the Dexy's Midnight Runner video.
So he gets called over because Bertha, the calf, turns up dead in the field. And this was Walt's prize calf. He was going to have her in the county fair that the mayor's talking about.
Yeah, well, he bought her a brand new bell and everything. And so the calf is laying in the back of the pickup truck, and it's just got like gooey foam mucus coming out of its mouth. And then later he comes out and he sits in the back of the truck. I'm like, oh, did he just sit in the cow mucus? Like, that's disgusting. And then Walt, he's like, well, ain't that a crock? Well, your cow's dead, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
And then you see Walt's dog run off. Not only is this cow going to die, but you assume that the dog is going to get it.
Well, you think the dog will be smart enough to run.
Yeah.
The cow is a lumbering cow. You don't know. The dog seemed very concerned. He knew something was out there stalking him.
So then after this whole drama with the cow, You cut to the yokel owned gas station where there's this comedy bit with this old man who's trying to talk down the
tire.
attendant. Like, I can't pay you no $20 for a tire.
It was like $22. He goes, "Well, I can give you one for 18." I'm like, 22 is still not that bad. Meanwhile, he's got a friggin' cow in the back seat. I'm like, you think maybe that had something to do with the flat tire?
So the guy's like, nope, I got $5 to give you. That's it. And he starts to drive away on the flat tire.
I'll find you.
The attendant's like, you got me. You drive a hard bargain. I'll find you one for $5.
Yeah, and we go find something that's bald and it's gonna,
and it's got no rim. It's like he's got to go put it on a rim too.
Yeah,
he's got to do all this work.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I'm gonna have to jack that truck up with a cow in the back of it. Yeah. So, anyways, it doesn't matter because there was a tarantula in the tire.
That's the first spider you see in the movie. Is that there's a tarantula in the tire, and it chases him as he's leaving the tire shed, and he shuts the door on it.
Slams the door right in its face. I'm going to say right now, all the movies we watch, and at the end it says no animals were harmed in the making of this movie. That is clearly not the case in this because there's a scene where the sheriff is running them over in his car. I mean, they are squashing.
Yeah, there's multiple scenes where cars are driving up and up to the lodge and away from the lodge through a sea of tarantulas.
Yeah, and Shatner, even in one of his autobiographies, he actually said he found it distressing how many were actually killed on set. And there's a lot of them. I think I read 5,000. They paid the handlers $10 per spider, and they came back with 5,000 spiders.
Which they had to, when they weren't filming, they had to sequester because they're cannibalistic in nature. Tarantulas.
Each one of them had to have their own containment.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But I also read that tarantula venom is very much like a bee sting to a human. So it's not.
But I guess, listen, Macaulay Culkin succumbed to numerous bee stings in that horrible movie, My Girl. So I guess if you get enough spider bites.
But also the woman in here says that these tarantulas are special, that they have 5 times the venom strength that a normal spider would have at one point when they're having dinner. Yeah.
Sure.
So they had to build up the threat of these particular spiders. Speaking of this blonde woman, we then get this woman who drives into town who is the spider specialist who is looking for this veterinarian. And there's, again, you don't leave this gas station for a good 10 minutes. Because you see Shatner filling up his car and she just sees a yokel and she thinks that Shatner is the gas station attendant. So he plays along. He tells her to go to the men's room because the ladies' room is broken. And when the actual attendant comes out, fill up this lady's car. She's in the men's room. What's she doing in the men's room?
That's a joke. She's looking for the captain's log.
And the guy's name is Rack.
Yeah, that's his nickname, Rack. What the? Okay.
Why do they call you Rack? What do you got a set there under your shirt?
Rack him up, Rack.
Yeah, nope. I played pool with my dead brother and rack him up.
Yeah, but this Diana, she's hot to trot in this scarf there. She's dressed like a airline stewardess.
She's got a Scooby-Doo ascot going on.
Yes. Zoinks.
The actress's name is Tiffany Bowling. She got the part over Donna Mills because she was the only actress they could find that was not afraid of handling the tarantula.
Yeah, and she does. She picks them up. She plays with them because at one point the spider crawls into the little drawer and you're like, oh, here we go. It's going to be a jump scare. And she's, oh, look at you, little guy. How'd you get in there? And she picks him up, talks to him, takes him outside. And I'm like, all right, this lady's chill.
I'm like, I thought these tarantulas were murderous. Why isn't it biting her on the hand?
Yeah. That is one thing I will say about this movie. You never see a spider bite somebody. You never see fangs go into.
No, but Shatner sells it. He's trying to clear off the seat. He's trying to clear off the fuse box. He's like, ow.
Yeah. No. Yeah. And at the end of the movie, he's covered in them. And I'm like, he's acting like they're 50 pounds a piece. Like he can barely crawl up the staircase. Meanwhile, these spiders were so afraid of humans that half the time, if you watch it, they're running the other way. They're not even running toward people. But this is, so she rents a whole cabin for $11 a night, which is a bargain. I see it almost as cheap as a tire. And then we get some side boob.
I had it in my head because I had seen this movie initially on the ABC Friday night movie.
Kingdom of the Spiders, starring William Shatner, Tiffany Bowling, Strode and Alderdice Davis continues in a moment. This is ABC.
That might have been where I saw it.
So I, for some reason, thought that it was a TV movie, but as soon as that side boob is revealed, I'm like, nope, this was a theatrical release, obviously.
But this is also, we're introduced to Mr. and Mrs. Johnson, who is a family that came all the way from Colorado for the county fair.
Yep.
And
so
then he hits on her. And I'm like, what a creep. I did like it that Mrs. Johnson was dressed just like a My Buddy doll. Like,
when she showed up on screen, I'm like, it's Danny Torrance from The Shining.
Yes, yes. The overalls with the striped shirt and the bowl haircut. I'm like, holy crap. It's Chucky.
As the spiders are covering the lodge, she's like, red rum, red rum.
That would have been good. But this is also where the farmer, Walt, reveals that, well, there's a giant spider mound in the back. It's like, maybe you should have led with that.
Yeah, you think this got something to do with that spider hill in the back?
And the fact that my cow died. And I'm like, just burn it, which is, they finally did decide to just dump some gasoline on it. But
is that a thing? Is that a thing? A spider hill?
Oh, yeah, sure. Actually, there's wasps that'll build mounds. There's a mud.
Well, I know that. There's ant hills, but I didn't know that they had spider hills.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, most spiders around here are nowhere near that big. There's trapdoor spiders that live in the ground. Tarantulas, I guess. They probably exaggerated them a bit. I'm not a arachno expert, so don't take me to task on that.
The reason that this Diane Ashley shows up in the first place is because Rack sent the carcass of that was pretty quick calf to the University of Tempe, Arizona, because this all takes place in Arizona. And she examined the calf and determined that it was killed by spider venom. So she's there to investigate.
Knew exactly what was going on. It wasn't like a mystery. It wasn't like any kind of like, we don't know what's happening here. Knew exactly what was going on.
And of course, she causes a stir. A blonde girl in this backwoods town. She is slick as a gnat's ass, ain't she? Everybody here looks like an extra from the Dukes of Hazzard that lives in this town.
Hey, everybody. Man, it was 1977 in Arizona. Well, it is Miller time. Just like Pepsi loomed large in the first movie. There was quite a few Miller cans floating around. But she immediately makes the jump that DDT has killed off the spider's food source. And that's why they're now eating like livestock and people.
So they used to be solitary. So now the DDT is causing them to all migrate. And this town is right in their path, Verde Valley.
But the county fair's coming up. We can't have this.
So there's a romance blossoming between Rack and this new blonde lady, but also Rack has to deal with his sister-in-law still, who they have, as I said, a complicated relationship. So he goes over to visit them at one point, and the little girl, Linda, runs out. Hey, Uncle Rack, do you want to listen to my Uncle Remus record? I'm like,
maybe later. But this is where we get the biplane sequence, which is probably outside of the end reveal. This is the one thing I remember vividly.
What when the spiders take down the plane?
The pilot.
Oh, that's at the end. That's not until the end. So we've skipped over some stuff here.
Did I skip? I'm jumping.
So you have, yeah.
Okay. I guess I had no notes in between that and that.
So I want to also establish right after Linda asks Rack to come listen to her Uncle Remus record, and he says maybe later. Then he goes over to the sister-in-law, and they have a little bit of exposition. I told my brother I would watch after you. I don't know if we should get together. And she says, isn't that like owning the cow and giving the milk away? And he says, one of these days, I just may milk that cow. And he holds up his both hands and does a squeezing gesture with both hands.
Uh-huh.
Right in the vicinity of her chest. I'm like, did I just see that and hear that happen? And then she says, just make sure your hands are warm. Oh, come on.
Okay. Duly noted.
Later on, he's back in the company of the blonde spider lady, and she's upset because he went to go see another woman, and he says, he makes it all sound so innocent. My brother died. I've been looking after the family. Doesn't mention to her that he's
No.
had that milk the cow exchange because
He's ready to honk the horns. Do you like milk?
So now they decide to burn the spider hill. But we already know that these spiders are smarter than that. So they
got a back door.
They all got a back door. They just leave the spider hill.
They're just walking out the backside. Hey, we forgot Harry. No.
Yeah, and talk about the truck going off the road. There's another scene where poor Woody, not only is his
Walter. Woody was the actor's name.
Woody was the actor, Walter Colby. Not only is his dog killed and his calf killed, and then his bull is killed a little bit later on, right? But he's driving into town, and the spiders are in his truck, which drives off the road, and they didn't have even a budget to show the truck going off the road. You just see the aftermath.
Right? You see the aftermath.
I'm like, well, how did you get it down there? Just film that and give me a little action.
That is true.
And was the town phone operator, was that Harvey Firestein? Hello, welcome to Verde Valley.
Go to beam up, Scotty. She met an untimely demise as well.
Yes, she did. You see her when all hell breaks loose at the end of the movie. You see her covered in webs.
Fantastic chaos, by the way.
But a little bit later on, once the mayor finds out that they have a spider problem, and it's suggested that the county fair be canceled. No, let's just DDT him. We got to DDT him. That's what's going to take care of him. Now we get that spectacular set piece with the plane. And they call the guy the Baron, right?
Yeah.
Snoopy and the Red Baron, right?
Yes, yeah.
So we assume it's his fault that these spiders have been migrating because they've been doing all this DDTing around.
Well, no, it sounds like the
Valley.
mayor's fault for asking for the DDT. Well, that's what you used back in the day. We don't use that stuff anymore. I mean, we know for a fact that DDT almost killed off the bald eagles. So, I was a child in the 70s, and even I know that you got to stop using this stuff. But this fantastic set piece.
Before he goes up, the Baron actually has drawn the things that he's killed.
Well, he's got like stickers that actually look like the things that he's killed before. He's never killed a spider or seen a spider because that drawing did not look like a spider. It looked like plankton.
It looked like a hairy peanut to me.
Way too many arms on it. I don't know what dude, don't give up your day job. But this is not going to end well as soon as he gets up there and you start seeing one little spider in his lap. Shat, there's a snake in my plane.
He looks down and talk about Home Alone. He screams like Marv.
Yeah, that is a high-pitched squeal.
And it's not only once that he screams. It comes back. He screams like 10, 15 times. I was laughing out loud.
And they're all on the ground watching him, and his plane's going up. He's weaving all over the place like he's somehow going to shake him off.
And the camera is like between his legs looking up at him. And he's like, yes, yes,
yeah, no, the point of view shots on some of this stuff is just fantastic. Like, yeah.
And they're all on the ground. Well, what's he doing? And
he's coming right at us. That's what he's doing. Right into the garage.
You keep cutting back to him screaming, and the fact that he's got this ridiculous goggles on makes it even more funny.
Yeah.
They don't show the truck going off into the ditch, but they actually show.
That's where all your money went, probably.
The plane stunt, the plane flying into the gas station.
And exploding.
How did they do that? You got to have somebody flying that plane.
Oh, yeah. Well, it was at an angle to the point where it almost looked like the plane flew behind.
Oh, so maybe it was like
and then they just set off an explosion and
maybe
made it look like it went right into it.
Like a James Bond Octopussy where it flies into the warehouse.
That would have been pretty impressive. But those are all your main actors on the ground while that explosion goes off. There's no stunt people. They did not use stunt people.
That's what I'm saying. It's like one shot where you got Shatner, you got the Spider Lady on the ground in front of the gas station, and the plane comes and in the same shot flies into the gas station.
Yeah, and you would think this is like a one and done. We got to get this right because we can't film this twice. Yeah, no, it's just boom.
And none of them like runs in to see if the guy's all right. They're like, he's obviously gone.
He's barbecued. Oh, speaking of, so go back to my concessional treats. There's actually tarantulas. There's treats that you could buy freeze-dried tarantulas and eat them.
Oh,
And I chose not to do that in any way, shape, or form. I'm like, I'm not even going to talk about this.
What would have been fantastic is if the Baron was still screaming as
He's running little spiders on fire. Like there's a scene later in the movie where there's a rat with spiders on it. And I'm like, that's actually pretty well done.
Yeah.
I'm like, they probably could have caught a couple of those on fire. They're squishing them anyway. So
it looked to me like the spiders were still trying to eat each other as they were on the rat. So
yeah, they're like, hey, get over here. Come on.
You see a quick shot of poor Walter's wife trapped in her home by spiders. There's one on her hand. She shoots her hand off trying to shoot the spider.
It's shaking.
This is horrific. This is horrific.
It is brutal. That is the worst kill right there. Self-inflicted wound.
And I did read that they used a lot of pre-used musical cues. So
yes, almost all of it. Yeah.
So I think that there's really like loud horror, like bah, bah, as she's blowing her hand off. I think that that's from Beware the Blob. I swear that that's from Beware the Blob.
Yeah, I read they used a lot of Twilight Zone musical cues from episodes. Jerry Goldsmith, they really kind of mined his film library. But you're right, it probably was.
So then we get the scene where Linda is saved from the spiders, but Mom gets killed. And Rack is probably thinking to himself, oh, nope, leave Mom there, because like he's free now to go with Spider Lady.
Ah, darn.
All of our main characters convene at the lodge. And then you see a shot of what's happening in town. It is end of the world.
Quickly. Yeah, this is the friggin'. This is where the sheriff's running over the spiders, and all of a sudden he's taking out a water tower. And
everybody is trying to get into the sheriff's car because the entire town is covered in spiders. And you see this one little kid stumble out of a store, and he's covered in spiders. And at the very end credits, that like spider attack boy,
Spider Kid, is
credited to John, and that is the director's son. John, what we're going to do is cover you with these spiders and you act like you are being killed by them. Okay. The kid is like, what, 6 or 7 years old?
Yeah. But pretend you're afraid. Yeah, Dad, I am afraid. Yeah, but it is chaos.
It looked like spring break. That's what it looked like. Because they're all trying to turn over the sheriff's car for what purpose?
Whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah, they're just like raving now.
Not only did they wrangle 5,000 tarantulas to use, but they also mixed in fake tarantulas to make it look like there were more. And the crew also painted spiders on the sides of buildings in
thousands of fake spiders
in this real town of Verde Valley. And apparently they did such a crappy job of repainting the building that you could still see the spiders years later. I
want to go there just to see if I could see a spider.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they released them after the filming. They just released them all in the desert.
Into the wild, right around this town.
So the town was still overrun. The town has actually lived up to it. It literally became infested with spiders after this movie.
Tarantulas, no less. Not just spiders. Tarantulas.
Yeah, tarantulas, yeah. So, well, apparently maybe they started the little candy confectionery. Let's just freeze dry these things and sell them. People can eat them.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you do see the mayor get his, right? He gets run over at one point. You hear his legs crack when he gets hit by the car.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But you're right. These are all trapped in the lodge now. We're all now like.
So you assume that these are the last people left in this town and that they're trapped in the lodge. So they spend the night in the lodge and they're trying to cover up the vents, the fireplace, because the spiders keep coming in from here and there. And they open the door and the little spiders are all running in and they have to shut the door on them. At one point, the lights go out and Shatner has to go down into the basement to and this is where he has to brush the spiders off of the fuse box, and this is where he's saying ow, 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 right, as he's like pretending he's being bitten, but he manages it. He gets the lights back on.
It electrocutes a few in the process.
Now it's the only phone they have, like the old timey pick up the tin can and put it to your ear and speak.
Well, that's why, right? That's why you had the lady in town, the Lily Tomlin connector. Yeah.
Who do you want to talk to, dear? But as you said, Rack is successful in changing the fuse. On his way out of the basement, he gets covered in spiders. He's got to crawl his way up the stairs.
Oh,
And you see they lay him on a table, and you see like the one close-up spider bite. It's all like swollen. His face is all swollen up. Next morning, you see the sun shining through the windows, right? And you think that maybe everything has gone back to normal. Yep. They can't see outside because they've boarded up all the windows. He's like, I'm just going to open the door for a second. No. You're going to let hundreds of them in. I'll be careful. Yeah, right.
Okay. Oh, but there's a crack.
They decide instead of opening the door, they're gonna take down some of the boards from the windows, and they can't even see because the entire lodge has been webbed over. And then this is the end of the movie. This scene stayed with me.
Yes,
more than anything else in this movie. Correct. The final scene, the reveal of the town. The entire town is now a matte painting of a town covered in spider webs.
This is the one thing I do remember is this end reveal. Although after watching it the other night, it's not the way I remember it.
No, how do you remember it?
I just remember it was much more like a giant web. This is more like a town. Somebody took a photograph of the town and then just painted cotton candy webbing on each one of the structures. I just remember it much more like the whole thing was covered in a giant spider web. It's kind of, it is, but it's not the way I remember it in my brain. But still, it's just like that's it. Boom, credits roll.
Mm-hmm.
These people are now trapped in a giant tarantula spider web.
Yeah.
May or may not be the only people alive.
And the web goes for as far as you can see, like over the mountains as well.
Right. Yeah.
And but the funny thing is that they actually bring up the radio before they see this, and the guy's acting like nothing happened. Yeah.
Rise and shine, campers! It's Groundhog Day. Wait a minute.
They bring you out with the same song over that visual of the town spiderwebbed in peaceful Verde Valley.
Yeah.
Could it bring the unknown we've never seen before?
Nope. Not gonna happen there, Dorsey.
Yeah, so this is typical of movies like this, where most of the time they did not have a happy ending. There was always that big question mark at the end of all of these 70s.
Yeah, I just brought up Food of the Gods, that whole big question mark, and literally a question mark at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
As the kids are drinking the milk. We're going to have mutated children.
So yeah, like you said, this was released in 1977, in the fall of 1977, November 23rd to be exact. So maybe it was a Thanksgiving movie. Who knows when it fell in that year. But on a $1 million budget, most of which went to wrangling the spiders, it made $17 million at the box office. So this was a hit to an extent, at least. Producer Ego Canton, when the movie Arachnophobia was released in the 1990s, was like, this is a ripoff of our movie. But his quote is, you don't go and sue Spielberg. So because Spielberg was the producer of Arachnophobia.
It's an homage.
Yes. Yep. As we said, Donna Mills turned the role down of the Spider Lady because she did not want to handle tarantulas. And Bo Svensson, who was the B-movie king of the 70s, turned this down.
Even it was too much for him. He was like, I'll do some Snow Beast stuff.
That was Bo Svensson.
He was
the big guy. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, this is one of the hallmarks of my childhood.
Like you said.
And just the fact that even as a kid, there was a novelty that William Shatner was in this, because obviously we knew Star Trek even back then. Yep.
I did see that Shatner actually came up with, he pitched a premise for Kingdom of the Spiders 2, but it never really went anywhere.
But it didn't look like it was not a direct sequel. Like it wouldn't have picked up.
Weird. Like he wanted a man was being tortured by his enemies, and they were using spiders because he was fearful of them to try and reveal a secret. It was like, that has nothing to do with, like, you're just using spiders as weapons.
I would have liked to have seen like that group that was locked in the lodge try to get out of that town.
Yeah. The only thing that would have been better is if they made it out and then immediately got shot.
There's
one.
as they're trying to get out of the border of the spider
they're all
web.
crawling on their hands and knees trying to get.
You see a posse outside. Good shot.
I will give this 3.25. This was enjoyable as hell to watch this again. And like you said, on Tubi, it's cleaned up. It looks really good.
Yeah, it is. It's fantastic. You can tell that they probably have cleaned this up for Blu-ray, and that's the transfer that they use.
Which is great.
Tubi.
That's the one benefit to all the streaming stuff now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I'm gonna go. If I gave Madam Web 3.5, I'm gonna equal it with this one. 3.5.
Okay.
Kingdom of the Spiders.
Okay. Maybe we'll get Shatner showing up in the Madam Web sequel.
Maybe we will. We will.
So before we get off this topic, I do want to. So I found this IMDb review, and it's so well written, and it's a little long, so bear with me. But I think it's hysterical. 10 out of 10. Scariest movie ever made. Don't even start with me, okay? 10 years old, completely freaked out, hysterical, unprepared for what we were subjected to. Sunday afternoon, HBO, over at Danny Nappy's house with my younger brother, Phil, good old Dan, a friend or two of his. All I knew was that Captain Kirk was in it. Something about spiders. We laughed. It was going to be so fake, but it wasn't. The cold grip of fear began to clutch nigh upon the time the guy climbed onto his crop duster to rid the town of all them spiders. Back then, we didn't know, you see, or it was only after that it started to sink in that movies weren't real. They couldn't be. Nothing could be that terrifying. And I'm talking aliens, things, Count Dracula, whatever Frankenstein was lumbering around, bring it. But no way with the spiders. They were everywhere. My 10-year-old brain reasoned in the basement, in the attic, in the backyard, up at the forest, probably even a school. Spiders everywhere, waiting to inject us with their stingers and wrap us in bed sheets. Hell, I didn't sleep for 2 nights. Couldn't eat for 3 days. Was afraid to put on my shoes, go to the store, ride a bike, or do anything that might expose me to the threat of all them spiders. We made it home well enough, but after that, it got dark and I was not ready for night. Totally hyper aware of every crack, nook, cranny, or dimpled corner around with some freaky spiders could come, looking to sting me. Mom, my brother, maybe even Dad. I was like, wow, somebody was traumatized.
Did he even mention the end with the whole town was he did?
It actually went on. It was a very long review. There was more to it, but I stopped there. So it just was, I saw this and I'm like, wow, this is, somebody was really able to tap back into their 10-year-old self for that. Cause that's well written, my friend. Well written.
Imagine the entertainment provided to whatever therapist that person went to.
Yeah.
Tell me about this movie again.
Yeah, and we talk about this. I mean, Jaws traumatized me as a kid. These things are real. These things really, I mean, as a kid, you don't, exactly what he said, you don't differentiate that it's make believe.
Right.
That it's those are real spiders. Those are real tarantulas. Yeah, that's a phobia right there.
Yeah, well, that's kind of like the benefit or, benefit, quote unquote, of eco horror. It takes what you know.
Yeah.
And it turns it against you.
Yeah.
Like frogs. That's actually a pre-Jaws one. Frogs.
Okay.
That's the one where they're down on the plantation. There's a family reunion of this really dysfunctional rich family, and they're isolated in all the reptiles that are on the property.
Also, not just frogs.
Not just frogs, but that's what the movie was called.
Okay. How come they got top billing?
Maybe I don't know. Frogs are weird. They are pretty weird if you think about it.
I know, but I wouldn't be afraid of them.
Well, you wouldn't think that you'd be afraid of a spider either.
There's plenty of people who are afraid of spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
Kingdom of the Spiders.
Yeah. Look for it on Tubi.
Yes.
All right. So what else did we do this week?
Oh, I didn't do much, but I was able to catch the new Netflix doc, The Greatest Night in Pop.
The We Are the World documentary.
The We Are the World documentary. So 39 years ago. Have you watched this yet?
I have not, but I plan on it.
This is fascinating. I mean, anyone who grew up in the 80s knows We Are the World. It's actually kind of treacly now and probably looked upon as being a bit cheesy, but It's amazing. I mean, there's a fair amount of behind the scene footage. There was 4 cameramen while they were filming this, them cutting the song. Lionel Richie, Bruce Springsteen, Cyndi Lauper, and Huey Lewis, and Quincy Jones provide a lot of real time, looking back, talking about the event. Lionel Richie, who was hosting the American Music Awards at the time, like, they decided to do this just for logistic reasons, to record this after the AMAs, because all of these celebrities were in one place at one time.
Yeah.
So Lionel Richie not only wrote this with Michael Jackson, and he was supposed to write it with Stevie Wonder, but they couldn't get a hold of him for like 3 weeks. The guy wouldn't answer his phone.
Mm.
So it's fascinating, because you think you know everything there is to know about this. And I was in chorus in high school, and every junior high school, senior college singing group covered this song in concert at one point. This was monstrous.
Yeah.
The idea that all of these, the Avengers of pop culture.
Well,
Cyndi Lauper's boyfriend tried to tell her not to do it, and she told Lionel Richie during the AMAs, "I'm not coming."
That's the same guy. That's Dave Wolf. That's her old manager.
Oh, gotcha.
And he was always with her whenever she did the wrestling things. Like,
yeah,
he was always right by her side. So I remember him.
Well, Lionel Richie said, "You know what? I'm telling you right now, you need to show up for." So they literally had to pull this together in weeks. And they show a lot of this behind the footage stuff of Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie trying to come up. Like, there was a lot of pressure to come up with a hit song. And then it was who was going to be involved, who was available, who wasn't available. And then it became obvious that all these people were going to be at the AMAs. So let's create a secret meeting point. And it was like 10 o'clock at night after the AMAs, and they recorded well into the morning.
Mm-hmm.
One session. That was it. And I'm not a huge Springsteen fan, but I will tell you, listening to this guy, they all sing the chorus, but then they each have their individual little lines. And it's pretty impressive. And it's a real throwback to the days when people actually tried to help each other.
Well,
and,
did they acknowledge at least that this was pretty much an American version of "Do They Know It's Christmas," which had come out a few months earlier?
So this is what I didn't realize, that Band-Aid came out first.
Yeah.
In my mind, that was always like, oh, they're just, well, because then you had Farm Aid, and then you had Live Aid. So you have all these, but yeah, they do acknowledge. Yeah, there's definitely a chronological, like, why they decided to do it, bringing Geldof in to talk about, before he even did Live Aid. Like, Waylon Jennings got up and walked out of the recording.
Why? Because he didn't have a solo spot?
The one thing that Quincy Jones did, which was right before everyone started showing up, he put a handwritten note up on the door that says, "Check your egos at the door."
Oh, and then Waylon Jennings like, well, I can't do that.
He was there. The problem is that, like Lionel Richie talks about a lot, which was my job, was just to we had to keep moving, because the minute you ask somebody, well, you don't like this, what would you do? Now I got 27 people all offering up different. And at one point, someone wanted to start singing in Swahili. It's like that old adage, when there's never a bad idea, but you have to shoot this person down and be like, no, we have to just stick with what we, and Waylon Jennings says, well, I don't even know what this guy's singing. And he got up and he just walks out. He just leaves. Prince was supposed to be apart, and I guess there really was this huge rivalry between him and Michael Jackson, and Prince decided, well, I'll come, but I want a guitar solo. They're like, no, that's not what this is about. So Huey Lewis got the part Huey Lewis sings was meant for Prince.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fascinating, and it really is. Like I said, there's 4 cameramen there, and they're stuck in this studio from 10 o'clock at night until like 8 o'clock in the morning. And they keep cutting to the clock, and you see it's like, yeah, time's winding down. Bruce Springsteen just came off his concert. He just finished his Born in the USA tour, and his last concert was in Buffalo. And his manager's like, listen, you know what? When Bruce is done, he's done. He's exhausted. And he comes in and he talks a lot of it. He goes, I just felt that I needed to be there. I needed to be a part of this. So I did come. He says, but I was beaten. You can hear his throat is raw. You know, he's been singing. He was in, literally singing a 3-hour concert like 2 hours prior. There was a big snowstorm, so they weren't even sure if he was going to make it. So it's really in depth as far as like, the idea that all these guys were able to get together, and Al Jarreau drunk because he kept asking for bottles of wine, and Lionel Richie is trying to take the bottles of wine. And when it got to his part, he couldn't do it. He couldn't sing he couldn't do. They said Stevie Wonder had to step in and basically walk him through. Same thing with Bob Geldof. There was a lot of imposter syndrome going on where like Huey Lewis and Cyndi Lauper are both basically, looking around, Paul Simon, these legends, and then just be like, what am I doing here? Why am I a part of this? I shouldn't even be here. It's not long. It's probably just over an hour, but it was fascinating. And the fact that they pulled it together in one night, they were still writing lyrics.
Yeah, I always liked the Band-Aid song better than We Are the World.
I didn't sit there and compare the two. It's fascinating to me that this was, it was a global effort on their part to, we need, Geldof's basically, showing them in Africa, looking at these people, these kids dying, literally, we have to do something. We have to try and do something.
Do you remember the one that was called Hearing Aid, but was all the metal guys?
Yes, I do remember that.
And I think it was like, Ronnie James Dio was in there and a few other big shots, but I remember the opening line. And of course, it's a metal song. They have to sing something like this, like, when you're somewhere in the night and you're feeling the call. And
why, yeah. Why would you not?
Because, of course, if you're a metal guy, you are somewhere in the night at all times,
True, at all times, yeah. It's never day. It's never day. You sleep during the day. So, yeah, Netflix, and very fascinating.
I'm going to bring something as well from Netflix.
Oh, right.
Just yesterday, they dropped Thanksgiving, the horror movie, on Netflix. So if you have a Netflix subscription, you can watch it for no additional cost. And I did, and I wasn't that impressed by it.
Eli Roth. Director?
Eli Roth. I am not a fan of this guy's movies. He does things like Hostel. I think the only movie I really liked from him was that the movie that we covered with Jack Black years ago now. The House with the Clock.
Oh, that's right. Well, that was more mainstream.
That was a kid's movie, more or less. He's got like really dark, gritty movies. I think Hostel is one of the forerunners of the torture porn genre, which I hate. Thanksgiving is a much lighter movie than that, but it's still at the same time, they kind of try to get a whodunit vibe going, like who is this John Carver Thanksgiving killer?
John Carver.
John Carver. That's the.
So wait, is he running around with a pilgrim hat and a musket?
Yeah, and he's got a Halloween mask of John Carver. That's not his actual name, but that's what they call him.
Okay, all right. Is he just killing everybody with tryptophan?
Well, no, the movie starts with a Black Friday tragedy at
Walmart.
Well, they call it Right Mart in the movie,
okay.
But obviously
I'm writing this. All right,
you are writing it, right? So there's a tragedy where the crowd rushes the locked doors 10 minutes before the store is supposed to open.
Big screen TVs on sale.
Well, it was actually, the joke was it was waffle irons. You want your waffle iron this bad.
Not your Stanley Cups? Okay. Yeah.
So they break down the glass doors. People are killed. The store manager's wife is killed, played by Gina Gershon. There's a lot of, names in this movie. Patrick Dempsey plays the small town sheriff who is on site at the tragedy, and he's the lead investigator the year following, because a year later on Thanksgiving, somebody is killing everyone that was involved in that tragedy that could have been held accountable for what happened. And he is dressed, as you said, as a pilgrim and in a John Carver mask.
Sorry.
Now, anyone that knows the history of this movie, this is based on a fake trailer that was in Grindhouse, which came out years ago.
Robert Rodriguez.
Yeah, Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino came out with Grindhouse. So they had two short movies that bookended Grindhouse. And in the middle of them were like 3 or 4 fake trailers.
They've made it. Wasn't Death Proof also a fake trailer?
No, Death Proof was actually the short movie in Grindhouse. But
there was another one of the trailers. Machete. Okay.
So that became a movie because Robert Rodriguez directed that trailer, and he directed the movie and a sequel to Machete. So Eli Roth directed the Thanksgiving trailer, which was much more nasty. I have to say that trailer
really?
was
Than
much
the
more
actual-
nasty than this movie is.
Huh.
But he directed the film version as well. So it's really a whodunit of all the characters you're introduced to, and you're introduced to a lot, and it's very actually hard to keep track of who is who.
Interesting.
And a lot of these characters are really unlikable. You talk about, Cassie Webb being unlikable. Watch Thanksgiving. These are unlikable characters. So you don't really care about who lives or who dies. Yeah, some of the kills are inventive, but it didn't hold me. Didn't hold me.
That's a bummer. But that's on Netflix, so I can avoid
That's on
it.
Netflix. So you don't actually, if you want to watch it, you don't have to pay extra for it. So it's there.
All right. Fair enough.
All right. So what are we doing in 2 weeks' time?
What are we doing? Did we decide? We are deciding. We got some alliteration going on here. Well, we just mentioned Netflix.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
So we are going to be covering a brand new Netflix. It's dropping right before. This is Millie Bobby Brown's Damsel.
Yeah. So I wasn't even aware of this until you told me about it. Previous to recording today's episode.
I know nothing more than the description that we read. So let's see. Apparently, there's fire-breathing dragons involved. She is. My guess is that she is not a damsel in distress.
This is like an ironic title.
Is my take. Yeah. That she's probably a very strong-willed woman who doesn't need a man and can fight off dragons. So
speaking of dragons.
Speaking of mother of dragon movies,
our co-feature will be Dragon Slayer.
Wow, this is a long time coming.
Yeah,
this has been lumbering around in the background for quite a while. That
big childhood movie for me.
Yeah, saw this in the drive-in.
Oh yeah, I saw it in the theater, not at the drive-in, but in the theater. So yeah, right when it came out.
Is this 1982?
81.
Wow, wow. 82, 81.
The year of Raiders.
Yeah, I did see this in the drive-in. Some great dragon action, if I say so myself.
The special effects, amazing in this movie, especially for its time. A
lot of stop motion.
Again. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I believe we'll be speaking about Rob Bottin once or twice.
Sir Ralph Richardson as well.
Peter McNichol, who once you watch him in this movie, you're like, wow.
Is this the Ally McBeal guy? Yep, it is.
Yeah, interesting. So there you go. Yeah, Damsel and Dragon Slayer.
Yep.
D&D.
So until then, and I'll be taking over the concession stand, so I'll have to come up with something good.
Oh, dragon-related, dragon eggs.
Perhaps, yeah.
Something medieval. Oh, big giant turkey legs. Then you can tie it right back into Thanksgiving again. Well, I guess you got to stay tuned to find out where we're going. So,
all right, everybody. Thanks for listening.
All right, thank you. Go check out Madam Web. Make up your own mind. Throw a couple dollars at Sony.
Yeah, again, if you go in thinking this is the worst movie ever, you're going to be pleasantly surprised. I promise.
You may be shocked to learn that you are correct. Maybe not. Okay. All right. Thanks for listening.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
If you like what you just heard, be sure to follow TMI Confessionals of the Nerd Kind on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or whatever you listen to your favorite podcasts on.
You can help support this show by visiting our TeePublic page for some TMI branded goodies such as hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, and stickers. tpublic.com/TMI Confessionals, all one word.
A 5-star review would be incredibly nice as well.
Oh, Madame Web, huh? You're going to go see Madame Web? Would you like some popcorn to go with that?